Hello! If you're new here, my name is Aleese LightYear. I am an American expat who's been living and teaching abroad in China for the past 5 years. And in this video, I want to continue my series on teaching in China. Today, we are talking about the pros and the cons of teaching here in China. So whether you're thinking about making the leap or you're just curious to know, stick around. We've got lots of good info that's going to give you lots of insight. Let's just start with the pros because everybody loves good news, right? So in my opinion, I think number one reason why people come to China just to teach is because the salaries are great. When you compare the salary and the benefits package that you get in China to other countries, China is pretty high up there. It's not difficult to make a pretty high salary. Of course, that's relative. The salary that I make as a teacher in China, of course, is a lot less than the salary I would make in the US, but it's all relative and it's all about the cost of living. Because China's cost of living is so low, and because foreign teachers make double, triple, quadruple what local teachers make. Fortunately, you can have a really high quality of life and you can save a lot of your paycheck and send that money home, or you can travel or just do whatever you want. It is really, really nice to be in a country where you are in the upper middle class, just like from the gate. That feels amazing. Of course, you should know that the salary range is different depending on the type of school that you work at and what city, what part of the country you live in. So salaries in Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen are going to be much higher than Chongqing, Chengdu, Tianjin. So if you're in a first tier city, that's where you can make the most amount of money, but also the cost of living is a lot higher. When it comes to type of school, I think if you're coming to China just to make money, then maybe a training center is a good choice for you, unless you have a teaching degree, which is not required. I made a whole video about the requirements that you need in order to get a teaching job in China. So if you haven't watched that video, please go watch it before you write a comment that's like, hey, I have a bachelor's degree. Can you tell me if I'm eligible to find a job? Go watch that video. Another big perk is time off. Thanks to the numerous Chinese holidays, plus winter and summer vacation, you will have plenty of time to travel, to go home, to enjoy the beautiful apartment that you rent, to lay on a beach somewhere, to hike Great Wall, all of the things. Important to know, it's not just teachers who have those holidays off. It's the whole country of 1 billion plus people. So if you plan on traveling in China during those holidays, don't, because it's a headache. But that doesn't matter because you'll still have a winter and summer break. So the amount of time that you get for these summer and winter holidays depends on the type of school that you work at. For example, training schools and kindergartens are year-round, right? Like kindergartners don't have a summer break like those school students do. So if you work at a kindergarten, depending on what's in the contract, depending on what you negotiate, you could be getting 1 to 2 weeks per winter, per summer break. So if you're working at a kindergarten or training school, you may only get 7 days off per year, like vacation days that you can choose, and 1 to 2 weeks in the summer. You may get 3 weeks in the winter and 1 week in the summer. It is really all up to school and, like I said, what you negotiate. But if you work for a public school, bilingual school, international university, then you will have a full winter break, which is 3 to 6 weeks in the winter time for Chinese Spring Festival. And in the summertime, you will have 4 to 8 weeks. School always starts September 1st and usually end very beginning of July or the end of June. So you'll have usually about 2 months in the summertime. That's when I do all of my traveling. The final pro is very obvious, and it's just unique cultural exchanges. If you're coming to move to China, you're gonna experience all that China has to offer. Food, the environment, the language, the convenience of mobile payment everywhere, the low cost of living, the incredible culture. Yeah, all of the things. Traveling to certain places, maybe in Europe or like South America, you may see a lot of the same things that you see at home. In China, no. You are seeing a lot of things for the very first time. Very eye-opening. You can really grow or regress as an adult living here, depending on your personality. But China is a wonderful country with lots of wonderful things happening here. And you just can't believe everything that you see on the news or social media. You can move up to administrative positions or specialize in areas like teacher training or development much faster than I think you would be in a Western country. For example, me, I was working at my training center job my first year here in China, and within, I'd say like 10 months, I interviewed and accepted a promotion, which was actually a promotion and a totally different job, which was in the career path that I wanted, which was project and events management. But because this was in 2019 and I think about 2 months later, COVID hit and that company went bankrupt, that promotion sadly didn't work out for me. You watched me in Beijing go from normal drama teacher to moving here to Chengdu, where I created a whole drama curriculum for a school. I don't teach English as a second language. All of my students already speak really good English, and I teach drama. That has been the subject that I have loved and I have a passion for quite a while. So if you have a specialization, a knowledge, a passion for any subject other than teaching English, then make sure you apply for those jobs. Or when you're talking to recruiters, let them know, hey, I can also teach history and biology and calculus. My favorite thing about being a teacher in China is that not only do I get to share my language and subject that I'm teaching, I also get to share my background, my culture, my history. I also get to help shape their ideas and perspectives about people who look like me. This is China, a homogeneous country where everyone is Chinese. Everyone has ideas about non-Chinese people. Some of those ideas are based on negative stereotypes that they've seen portrayed in the media. They don't know nothing about Black American culture. It means the world to me to teach that to the future of this country and show them me and this skin tone and this hair and where I come from. We're not all the same. We're not a monolith. They feel comfortable around someone who looks like me, and they've never felt that before. And you also see that happen with their families, their parents, their grandparents. That just makes you feel nice to represent for the culture. I teach high school. All of my students have VPN, so they all have access to YouTube and TikTok. So they see a lot of things and they ask me, is this true? They have questions regarding my country or people who look like me. Students have asked me about the BLM movement, the impact of civil rights, the impact of Martin Luther King. Have I ever met any Karens? Almost all the schools I've worked at have been international schools with the intent of students going abroad, and a lot of them will go to America. They have never been able to talk to minority living in America. They feel very comfortable asking me about race issues in America. Aside from just being a really good representative of Black people, it's now the end of the year and all of my students wrote me these really sweet cards, and I want to read one that is specifically about race from a student named Carl, and it says, "To be honest, you changed my mind deeply, and I know people in different races are totally the same. You are the first Black person who's ever been my teacher. You taught me not to discriminate and respect all of the people in this world." Carl. So sweet. Like this is what you want. Thank you for giving many interesting class. In fact, I find that I have become more confident in this year gradually because you have given me more opportunities to show myself. I'm very happy. Thank you. And this is what it's all about. You have the opportunity to make a huge impact in these student lives. And I know that because of me, some of my students are going to grow up and marry beautiful Black people. okay, let's get to the cons, because it is not all rainbows and butterflies being a teacher in China. The teaching landscape, environment, whatever you want to call it, has changed a bit. Although there's still a high demand for foreign teachers in China, there is a much bigger pool of applicants trying to come into China than there has been in a very, very long time. So that means the competition is getting fiercer and fiercer, which also means that schools are becoming a lot more picky with who they hire. Unfortunately, that means that a lot of schools are choosing to go with what they think is the best option in terms of optics, which basically means they are hiring a lot of white teachers and not a lot of black teachers. Not just black people, but like all people of color who are from native English-speaking country. A lot of schools would much rather hire a non-native English teacher who has white skin rather than a person of color who is qualified and from a native English-speaking country. So how will you know if this happens to you? Maybe you applied for 50 plus jobs, and when they ask you to put a picture on your resume and they see that you're a person of color, then they stopped responding. My advice to you is to stay strong, be proud of who you are, where you came from, and what you look like. And if a school doesn't want to hire you because of what you look like, fine, because why would you want to work for them anyway? Broaden your search. Don't try to argue your qualifications with anybody. Should you give up? It's up to you. I think that obviously racism is a problem in China. It's not going to be evident as maybe it is in a Western country because there's a language and cultural barrier. If you're just looking for, kindergarten jobs, then start looking for primary school jobs. If nothing is working, then maybe try South Korea or Japan. All in all, it's important to remember that there are jobs out there that value diversity and value your opinion and your presence. Don't give up. Keep trying. I have had a lot of teaching jobs in China. I'm proof that it can happen. But those types of things have happened to me many a times. I'll drop the screenshots so y'all can see. The ridiculous notion that only native English speakers are allowed to teach English in China. So on like every single job description that you will find, it's like native teacher from the UK, the US, Australasia, Canada, South Africa. Yeah, I think it's just those countries that China recognizes as native English speaking countries. I don't know why they make these rules. I mean, I guess I do know why they make these rules, because there's just an idea that if you come from one of those countries, you have the best English and they only want to learn from the best. Something ridiculous like that. I think it's really unfair, but I know that it is not 100% impossible. There are lots of schools that hire non-native English teachers. I think it's much easier once you're already in China rather than coming from abroad as a non-native to teach in China. If you are coming from abroad, I would suggest looking at second or third tier cities, but I honestly don't know that much information about how non-natives secure jobs here. I just know that it is possible. So don't give up if you're a subject teacher, like if you're not teaching English. If you're teaching French, Spanish, history, drama, I think they're a lot more likely to accept a non-native teacher. I will say that one of the bigger challenges about teaching in China is these schools are not created equal. Each school has its own set of rules or policies. Each contract is different. Lots of schools like to be scammy and put things in the contract that break laws, but they're just trying to scare you in order to protect their institution and try to keep teachers longer. They write crazy clauses in contracts that say, if you decide to quit after 6 months, you have to pay 10,000 RMB. Well, guess what? In Chinese law, that is illegal. They already know that most foreigners don't know the law or the process to hire a lawyer. And even if you do, it's gonna be a whole long year process for you to recoup your money. I think it's also really tricky sometimes to change jobs. I've worked at jobs before where I did break a contract. I was leaving. I just was not choosing to renew my contract, which is a very normal thing. But it was like the HR people were just annoyed that they had to do my transfer paperwork. So they just dragged their feet and took much longer than needed to be, and I couldn't do anything about it. I was very frustrated with that. But I've also been in other jobs where they can get the paperwork done really quickly. It's just kind of a draw. It's a toss of a coin what type of people have worked there before that have changed their mentality or their rules. Another thing that's kind of wrapped up in with that is you never know what kind of coworkers or type of boss you're gonna have. And those people can make your life a nightmare, or they can make your life great. Okay, so those are all of my pros and cons. For my final thoughts, I will say that there's loads of opportunity in China. Do your research on the country, the city, the school, the people that work there, all of the thing. Don't just accept the first offer that you get because you think it's the only offer that you're gonna get, or you think it's gonna be the best offer that you can get. No. Lots and lots of things are negotiable in China, so try to negotiate the best that you can. If you still have questions, need advice or insight, I do offer consultations. You can book a consultation with me. The link is below in the description box. I've been doing consultations for a while now. People have told me that they're very helpful. If you want me to look at a job contract to see if it's legit or not, if you are going into an interview and you want to know what questions you should ask, if you want to know more about red flag, green flags, or if you're trying to figure out what type of school you want to work at, I can answer all of those questions and help you. So yeah, just reach out if you want to get a consultation. Homesickness and isolation, something that I know oh so well. It sucks to be so far away from your home and from your family, right? You can't just go home for the weekend. You need at least a minimum of 3 weeks to go home because it takes 2-3 days to get there. That makes it pretty frustrating for a lot of people. Building a support network and getting to know other people like you, getting to know local people here, that will do nothing but enhance your experience living in China and help you and make you happier and just have much better quality of life. And of course, staying connected with all of your friends and family back home, trying to convince them to come on over and visit, even though it is a very long and expensive flight. It is incredible when your friends come. Workplace culture in China has a few similarities to workplace culture in the US. There's just a lot of things that happen in professional environments here that just don't make any sense to me. In educational institutions, there's just so many different hierarchies. Sometimes you work in a school and you will never ever meet the principal. Or sometimes you'll get a job interview and you'll be interviewed by someone and then you'll get the job and you'll never ever meet the person who interviewed you. Of course, there's a totally different style of communication here, aside from the language barrier, just about who you can speak frankly to, who you cannot speak frankly to, what you should keep to yourself, when you should speak up, when you should be quiet, difficult to navigate. One of the most important things in a lot of Chinese schools is if the parents like the teachers. And if you want a Chinese parent to like you, then you need to follow the rule of never allowing them to lose face by telling them about their child's shortcomings. There's so many different nuances of the idea of saving face and losing face. It doesn't just happen with parents in schools, it's also dealing with your colleagues. But at the end of the day, cultural differences are to be expected. This is China and you are not Chinese. So yeah, you just kind of have to learn to accept these things. Okay, my friends, that is all I have for this video. I hope that maybe you have a more clearer understanding understanding of making a thoughtful decision about whether or not you want to come and teach in China. I appreciate you so much for watching. Do I have anything else to say? Yeah, book a consultation with me, like the video, subscribe to my channel, share the video, watch me on Instagram, DM me on Instagram. You know what it is. Aleese LightYear, over and out.